New Extra Charge Hot and Iced Coffee from Dunkin' is made with 20% extra caffeine from green coffee extract, because we could all use a little extra this year. Whether that's an extra boost, some extra boldness, or the drive to go the extra mile, we're extra ready for whatever comes our way and extra excited to take it on. Let's get it done with a medium extra charged coffee from Dunkin' for $2 with 20% more caffeine. And pair it with snackable stuffed bagel minis for an added all-day boost. Order ahead on the Dunkin' app. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Limited time offer.
It's a new year, and with T-Mobile, it's not about how far apart we are. It's about how close we can be. So we're bringing out our best deal. Right now, get the iPhone 12 on us on every single plan with eligible iPhone trade-in.
So I can FaceTime with my sister in Savannah.
That's right, the iPhone 12 on us on every plan. All on America's 5G leader in coverage. T-Mobile.
With 24 monthly bill credits and a new line plus tax. If you cancel credit, stop and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us for well-qualified buyers. Qualifying consumer plan required. See coverage and offer details at T-Mobile.com.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media, let's make some noise. Welcome to Beer Nuts, a weekly excursion into the world of craft beer, brought to you by MichiganBeerGuide.com. And now, here are the Beer Nuts.
All right. Happy New Year. Well, to you. For us, it's a little bit ahead of time. Bring you behind the curtain a little bit, but it is the new year, so do a little something different today. With me, as always, I'm Chris, JR from MichiganBeerGuide.com.
Happy New Year.
Uncle Pete.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Dugout.
Happy New Year.
All right, so JR, different show today. What's going on?
Well, we just figured we'd kick off the new year and just kick back a little bit. Start off by switching things up a little bit. So we're going to call this week's and next week's episodes Mixed Nuts, where all the beer nuts are going to reflect on the year, and we picked out some of our favorite beers. And there's not going to be any one style. We're just going to go all over the board. And as you'll see, you'll find that the beer nuts really like the darker beers more. But anyway, so we're just going to have some fun, man. And as we always say, we're just regular guys, just kicking back, having some beers. And today we're really going to let it hang out. We're going to ad-lib. We're just going to tell stories. We're going to talk about trends and what's happening in the craft beer and just have some fun. To start off the show, we always do a quote. And tonight we're going to do a couple quotes because one of my favorite all-time TV shows is a show called Cheers, which was a legendary bar show about the regulars at a bar up in Boston. And it's just a great show that I always enjoyed watching. And,
that was a great show.
Bull and Finch Pub, and I was in Boston for like a year and a half for work. I never made it there.
I have been there.
I've been a couple times.
Kind of a tourist trap. It's not like the real Cheers, but
yeah, it's a letdown.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the outside's the same. But.
I gotcha.
Anybody that's ever been a regular at a bar or has a favorite watering hole and where everybody knows your name, that's your Cheers. And I think we've all had one at some point in our life. For me, we have one now. And the cafe would be that bar for me. So anyway, here's some famous quotes from the show. And Uncle Pete's going to play the part of Woody the bartender, and I'm going to play the part of the beer-sucking Norm, the regular at the bar. So go ahead, Uncle Pete. Woody.
I get to play Woody, all right.
All right, our first quote.
Can I draw you a beer, Norm?
No, I know what they look like. Just pour me one.
How's a beer sound, Norm?
I don't know. I usually finish them before they get a word in.
What's shaking, Norm?
All four cheeks and a couple of chins.
What would you say to a nice beer, Normie?
Going down?
All right. This concludes Beer Nuts Theater.
Yeah. I think the problem I have is my beer is empty. So we're going to kick off the show this week with one of Dugout's favorite beers. So I'm going to just turn this over to him. Well, before I say any more comments about the show Cheers, I guess we've already kind of introed. Anybody had a favorite character or a favorite episode? Or?
Well, mine is Norm. Because in real life, I've met Norm and had a few beers with him at the Celtic Crossing bar in Chicago.
Oh, George Wendt?
Yep.
Is he really from Chicago?
He is, yes. He's from the South Side in a neighborhood called Beverly.
So the Bears is not an act?
No.
And does George enjoy beer as much as Norm does?
Well, he does. I think it's kind of difficult for him to get out because just a short time I was sitting next to him, probably 6 or 7 people offered to buy him a beer.
Well, that's not a terrible problem.
Yeah, that's the worst problem in the world.
I always liked Sam because I'm a sports fan, and he was kind of like the dumb jock owner of the bar, and I just liked his character.
Well, I like Cliff Clavin, the postman.
Yeah.
He had that one time where he did the buffalo theory, right? He talked about how the herd of buffalo can only move as fast as the slowest buffalo, and it's the slowest and weakest ones at the back of the herd that are killed first. And he gets into talking about natural selection, and because the speed and the health of the whole group keeps improving by the regular killing of weakest members. And he compares it to much the same way the human brain can only operate as fast as the slowest brain cells. And so, as we know, excessive intake of alcohol kills brain cells, but naturally attacks the slowest and weakest brain cells first. And so this way, regular consumption of beer eliminates the weaker brain cells, making the brain a faster and more efficient machine. And that is why you always feel smarter after a few beers.
I like it.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. Makes me feel a little bit better about all the beers we're going to drink tonight. That was a great show, and I still like to watch reruns of it on occasion. So anybody that hasn't seen it, sure you can get it on Nick at Night or one of those channels.
Or Hulu. Or
It's the internet. It's everywhere.
Yes, it is. So now, without further ado, I am parched, so Doug out, how about that first beer?
All right, first thing we are sampling here is from Shorts Brewing Company out of Bel Air, Michigan. And this is one of my favorite IPAs of all time. Definitely in my top 5. And it could be my top IPA. It's called Huma Lupalicious.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
It's a hophead's dream. It's got a beautiful bite to it right from the start. And you get a nice hop aroma off the first sniff.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Appearance, it's gold, but it's got some haze to it. And I do believe that haze comes from the wheat malt that's used in it. Taste, it's a hop bomb. It's got a great bite, Amarillo and Citra hops in it. Rather than talk about this one ad nauseum, I like to sit and enjoy them. And I'm very interested to hear what you guys think, because my passion's with this beer. I've first found it when I moved to Michigan a few years ago. It's probably the most purchased beer at my house. Easily a good 2 or 3 6-packs a week on this stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's one of Short's, top sellers, if not the top seller. The name Hoopa Lupalicious comes from the name of the hop vine.
Yes.
Humulus lupulus. I think that must be a Latin term or something. But quite a big, bold pack of hops coming through, both in the aroma and in the taste. I love it.
Yeah, I like to read the labels, as you guys know, and it's short and sweet, and it's really a great testament to the beer. It says, a complex malt and hop theme park in your mouth. One thing about this beer, you can only buy it in the state of Michigan because there's no distribution outside of the state. So as people in Wisconsin have, like New Glarus, which is only in Wisconsin, this is kind of as Michiganders, this is kind of our home state beer, and we're very fortunate because Shorts really knows what they're doing, and it's always nice that they have new releases every few weeks throughout the year. But this is one of their mainstays, and it's a solid go-to. A little story I have is this summer, my dad's 75th birthday party. I traveled to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I brought a variety pack of Shorts with me, and I think a 6-pack of Huma. A couple things that I knew that they couldn't get down that way. Just everybody always enjoys trying beers from other places. And 2 people at my dad's party knew what Huma was, and as soon as they saw it, their eyes lit up, and they, needless to say, the beer was gone in a flash.
You're a hero.
What was really good is the guy that knew about it started telling everybody else at the party, oh, you got to try this great beer. It's one of my favorite beers I've ever had. And turns out the guy used to live in Michigan and knew about it. And so even though it's only available in Michigan, its legend has gone far beyond our borders. So Doug had a great choice, and I knew it was a natural. And you picked this beer. I knew that you would be excited to tell our listeners about it.
Well, yeah, it's as big as the day is long. It's a 7.7%, and it's at a whopping 96 IBUs.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Chris, I know that you generally aren't the big IPA hop guy, but you're unbiased, honest.
It's hoppy.
It sure is.
I'll give it that.
Is it I'm
a little
growing, too hoppy for your liking?
as the shows go on, I guess my palate's becoming more trained towards the IPAs or the hoppier beers. I'm not going to say I'm not a fan, but I'm not going to say I am a fan. I'm coming around, I guess you could say.
Coming around, but you're not going out to buy a six-pack of this anytime soon.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, I want you to be honest because there's no right or wrong with beer. We preach that every week.
I'm not running the other way now from the IPAs. We'll put it that way.
Excellent. You're a good student, and you are progressing rapidly.
Well, I got to keep up with you, gentlemen. So
that can be a tough task.
Yeah, since we got Professor Beer, with us now too.
We might have to start introducing you to Milk Thistle. Does anyone know what Milk Thistle is?
I don't like the sound of that.
Milk Thistle is a supplement, like a vitamin supplement. You get at the health food store and where any vitamins and health supplements are. It's supposed to help your liver maintain a healthy liver. Years ago, when I started in the spirits business, I was told that, hey, if you're going to be drinking a lot, in this line of work, it would behoove you to take this supplement on a daily basis. And I have been taking it on and off for about 20 years, and I'm still here.
All right.
So, hey, can't hurt you. I don't know whether it's something that would be more of a wives' tale or something that those things they always have. The FDA has not approved this for this or whatever, but many people in the industry swear by it. The way I see it is it can't hurt. Anything I can do to help that liver along because it's working overtime.
Yeah, that liver is bad and must be punished.
I have the organ donor on my driver's license, but I certainly I wish I could say, disclaimer, please.
Get liver crossed off.
I like to think my liver is like the Lions; it just can't win.
Oh, that's.
Ooh, bada bing.
I stayed up late to watch that.
We all did.
Our listeners are in next year, but...
Oh, yeah, that's true. We're talking about a game that was a month ago, yeah.
Yep.
But it's fresh in our memories because we are recording just the day after the Green Bay Packers Hail Mary debacle.
Who knows, by now maybe everyone in the NFC lost for the rest of the year, and the Lions won every game, and they won the division with 8-8, and we're in the playoffs right now.
Hang in there, Chris. It can happen.
Yeah, we can dream.
You guys sound like me talking to the younger guys at work because they're so full and optimistic. I'm like, listen, guys, I've seen at least 5 to 10 more years of losing than you have. Trust me.
Well,
I sounded like you at your age.
As the game was progressing, I was on social media, and I got the sense that everyone expected that to happen.
It's funny, I did too, and I turned it on. I was like 17-0. I was going to watch the first half, and I was like, I'll turn it on. I'll watch them lose, and son of a bitch if they didn't actually do it right at the last second.
They are masters at breaking hearts.
Well, you're from Chicago, man. You've at least got to...
I've been through the losing ways as well.
Yeah, but you've been...
Probably not as bad.
You've been to the Super Bowl twice in the last 30 years, and you won one of them.
Won one of them.
Yeah.
The 85.
We've been to none of them, and none of them.
I'm a long-suffering Philadelphia Eagles fan, so no rings for me, but I have 2 Super Bowl losses.
Hey, we have the same record.
Yeah, no rings, but...
Hey, you've been there.
The thing about us is we won in 1960. You last won a title in 57, so we're just a slight cut above the Lions.
But did they have craft beer at the football field?
Yes.
Like they do today?
In 1960?
I'm just steering this back to the beer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Reeling it in.
Speaking of drink local, our next beer is a local, and I'd like Uncle Pete to introduce this one. It's pretty close to home here.
All right. This is called Rye Klops from Arbor Brewing Company here in Michigan. A rye IPA typically means that it's going to have a mix of rye grain in the recipe, and that's going to give it some different character. But I would like to preface this with, I haven't tasted it yet, but I'm going to suggest that it's possible that it could be fairly close to the Humalupalicious that we just had. It's an Imperial Rye IPA, 7.7% alcohol and 70 IBUs on the bitterness. So usually comes out in the early summer, late spring, and let's just have a look at it. It's got a little darker copper orangish color compared to the Humalupalicious we just had. Also has that hazy kind of a look, but not totally cloudy. Nice white head on it, and the aroma is very much kind of a fruity, hoppy, malty combination. This is a single hop brew with Simcoe hops only. So let's take a taste. Wow, very full-bodied, a nice maltiness and a nice spicy, kind of a fruity, very dry finish on the hops. Not too boozy to me, but it's not overly complex in terms of the hops. As I mentioned, it is a single hop with Simcoe. So overall, I like it. It's got a different character than the Humalupalicious. I would think if this was fresh and right out of the tap, might have some different characteristic, but this is probably it's probably been around for a little while now. Not complaining. Very good beer. How about you guys? What do you think?
Well, I would agree. I like the spiciness of the rye, but I think, as you said, I think this comes out. This is the wrong time of year for this. Actually, the story behind this is we were going to do a rye episode, and Dugout and I picked out a few beers, and when we went to go buy rye beers, we discovered that this isn't the time of year for rye beers. We bought a couple already, and we just figured, we'll throw them in this episode and just see what they taste like. I think it would be really a great beer when it's got nice fresh hops in this, but, it's more malty than it should be because the hops have faded, but there's a nice spicy rye, and like I said, instead of the fresh hoppy, pungent aroma, you're getting more of a malt.
Agreed very much, yeah.
What do you think, Dugout?
I agree with you guys 100%. Wondering if my bottle's maybe even older than yours. The hops have kind of completely fallen off of this, and I've had this fresh before at Arbor Brewing itself, and it was a very enjoyable beer. But that being said, I think the spice in the rye is really great. I love what they do with the mash on this beer. Overall, I'd like to try this again once it's back out in the spring.
Yeah, I think we'll wait till the spring when the rye beers are in season, and then we'll do an episode on some rye beers. But it really isn't that bad as it is.
No, make no mistake, though, just like the Humalupa, this isn't for the faint of heart when it comes to hoppiness. And if you're just getting started and think you want to try a hoppy beer, you're going to be going towards the high end of the scale with this kind of a beer right here. How about you, Chris? What's going on here?
I'd say the aroma is a lot mellower. You don't get hit with the hops like you did with the first one, the Humalupalicious. I taste more rye than anything in this one. So me not knowing what this is supposed to taste like, I mean, I guess this is good. I like it, but apparently we need a better batch here from what I'm gathering from you guys.
Well, Chris, since you're not really a big hophead, this might actually work for you because that real pungent hoppy taste that kind of scares you away, or at least used to make you run away, is gone. So in your case, this might actually make it more palatable for you. So
I mean, it's still there in the aftertaste, but I mean, still it's a lot mellower than the first beer.
So as we finish these, do we want to move into another one, or do we want to move on to a topic? How's everybody's beer doing? Mine's
empty.
Mine's empty too. So let's crack our next one, because the next one is Chris's selection. So what we did for Mixed Nuts, we picked out a bunch of beers, and we saved one for this episode and one for the next episode. We said, Chris, we'd like you to pick something out that you enjoy. So we're going to turn it over to Chris to introduce his beer.
Well, these weren't even things that I enjoyed. These were beers that I wanted to try that we have not reviewed yet. That's purely how I picked. And I'm learning I'm a fan of the darker beers, the porters, the stouts. I picked Great Lakes Brewing Company's Edmund Fitzgerald Porter. And I want you guys to go around first, because I tried a bottle earlier today. And I already kind of have an opinion on this, but I want you guys to go around first.
All right, who wants to start with Eddie Fitz?
Well, I can give this a go. It's a great name for a beer, just given that there was an anniversary of the sinking of the ship.
Yes.
Just a couple months ago.
Yeah, and wasn't it a significant one?
Yes.
Wasn't it 40 years?
40 years.
Wow.
Right. But I get a kind of a bit of a roasted malt nose on it. There's not much of a head to it. It's pretty much dissipated off. Very dark. And the light gets through it, but the stuff is quite dark. And the first sip I get off of this is a really great roasted malt flavor. On the mouthfeel, it's a little thin, but that's pretty much a style of what a porter should be, is exactly what this is. This is old school craft beer. I mean, this came out in I believe the late 80s, and they've been putting this beer out since. So obviously they're doing something right.
Hey, Marcel.
Yes.
How many bottles do you think Gordon Lightfoot's selling for him, though, really?
I don't know. Maybe their beer's selling Gordon Lightfoot's albums.
Or vice versa.
Symbiotic relationship.
Yeah. When I first moved to Michigan, This was the first beer I had. I walked into a bar and they had Edmund Fitzgerald on tap, and I was like, "Yeah, let me try that." I never had that.
Such a tourist thing to do, but hey, it's
But
your first
you
guy.
know what? It was fantastic, and I've enjoyed it ever since. The roasted malt, it's like the classic porter. Doug's dugout said his head dissipated. We had a pretty good, healthy head on the bottle that we have here. It's just got a beautiful bronze color, very dark, but you can see through it, but very dark copper, very nice appearance. You got that roasted malty aroma, and then, as you would predict, it hits you right away on the tongue. And after that rye beer, it took a few sips to really settle in.
I really love the aroma.
Really nice finish, nice finishing taste to it that lingers a little bit and leaves you wanting to come back for more. So it's a solid beer, Great Lakes Brewing in Cleveland, right on Lake Erie. Makes some really good beers, and this is probably one of their great staples that I would always highly recommend, especially if you see it on tap. It's just a fantastic porter. Great selection, Chris.
Very good selection. It's got a nice chocolate and coffee roastiness. I love the whole connection with, part of our history here in the state of Michigan. The Great Lakes freighters, these ships that ply the Great Lakes with iron ore for the steel factories. If you haven't seen one up close and personal, they're very impressive. They get up to over 1,000 feet long. They're gigantic. They're just huge, and they're very impressive. I got to go up in the UP this summer, up to Whitefish Point, to the Great Lakes Maritime Museum, and they do maintain the bell, the ship's bell from the Edmund Fitzgerald that they did retrieve from the bottom of Lake Superior.
I heard they ring it 29 times.
Yeah. And I'm happy to say I was there within the last year, too, and I remember going into the gift shop there, and they got the song playing, and they got a projector on the wall with the story of the Edmund Fitzgerald. A lot of history there that I didn't know, and having not grown up in Michigan, but now I'm up on it all, and it's really a fun place to be up at Whitefish Point, the Shipwreck Museum.
Yeah, I've also found that kind of stuff fascinating. I should probably get up there at some point.
There are breweries there to visit as well.
This is what I hear.
And we'll find them. There's an app for that,
There's an app for everything.
There is an app that's called like a brewery finder. I have it on my phone. Whenever I go traveling, I put it.
I don't need one. I can just sniff them out.
10-mile radius, and it's got like a little radar sonar thing that
Doug just uses his nose. Okay, Doug. Well, the next time I take a road trip, I guess you got to go along.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, we might have to do a Beer Nuts visits the UP.
Beercation.
Oh, do they have Girls Gone Wild? We'll have Beer Nuts Gone Wild.
No, I'm leaving my shirt on.
Yeah, leave the clothes on, guys.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Great. Alrighty then. Well, a great selection, Chris. Very impressive. Very impressive.
Well, I can tell you, I like the taste of this beer. I like the aroma of this beer. I did not like the carbonation, and I thought it seemed a little thin from what I've come to expect from a porter. But maybe I haven't hit the founders a little too much with the porters. But like those are the two things that kind of let me down with this one. But I said I like the taste, the smell, but like I said, it seemed a little too fizzy and a little too thin for my tastes, at least for what I'm coming to know of porters.
Well, file it away in your book of porters up there in your brain cells. Mm-hmm. It's right. It is right in there in the porter category, and it has been an award winner. So over the course of time, as you're getting more familiar with these styles, I think you'll start to recognize, and maybe your expectations will adjust as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when in doubt, specifically with his styles, it's always good to sort of go back to the source or sources and pick up a little bit of Fuller's London English Porter. Do a little side-by-side on those.
We did a lot of talking about Stone in previous episodes and a lot of the good beers that they have. The first time I tasted Sokoveza from Stone was about a year ago, and one of our beer buddies turned me on to it, and it's the kind of beer that I like to brew. Actually, my home brew right now is very similar to this, but this is a stout brewed with cocoa, coffee, peppers, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, doesn't it sound like a whole meal in itself? It says right here on the label, it's for the holidays and the new year. Certainly the marketing group at Stone is definitely wanting to push this for some Christmas and New Year's celebrations. It just came out a couple of weeks ago. It's fresh. This is the kind of beer, this stout with all these flavors, it would do well to age if you so desired, but it is also good fresh. So just looking at it, it's dark as molasses. I can't really see through it. It's got a nice tan head on it that's sustaining very well. Rocking it around a little bit. It's got a slight bit of lacing. Or the aroma is just full of cinnamon and nutmeg, coffee, all of those good things that we talked about, some chocolate, and just taste. I can imagine it's going to taste just the same as it smells. Yeah, this is nice, creamy. I get hit by the cinnamon right away. Yeah, wow.
Wow is right.
So I won't elaborate much more. I'll let you guys take off. Chris, if you want to make some comments.
Wow, I just tasted that. There's a lot going on there. I'm getting the coffee. I'm getting the cinnamon.
It's like a sugar cinnamon, too. It's not like a cinnamon that's not sweetened, like bitter. That
cinnamon challenge.
Yeah.
Kind of cinnamon.
Yeah, I'm getting some nutmeg. Yeah, I'm getting the nutmeg. Wow, this is... I can see why they say it's for the holidays. This definitely seems like, Doug, you've referred to a beer you can chew. This seems to be in that category.
I'm sure Doug or John probably knows some of the background on how this beer came to be.
Yeah, I've got their website up, and I had some of this last year. It tastes different this year. It tastes a lot more cinnamon to me, and that may be because it's fresh.
And this was a homebrew contest winner.
Right, so an average guy, right? An average homebrewer guy, just like us.
Yeah, well, Robert de Habanero could be the next one.
Oh, man.
Where's Stone out of?
California. Escondido, California, Southern California. And I'm going to read from their website just a little blurb on this beer. It says, Stone Zokovitsa for the holidays and the new year. It's appropriate for this show. It says, our chocolatey winter spice mocha stout is back. This insanely delicious take on Mexican hot chocolate is crafted with cocoa, coffee, pasilla peppers, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg. First brewed in 2014 with San Diego homebrewer Chris Banker after his recipe was named the winner of our annual homebrew competition. It quickly became a cross-country sensation as craft beer media and fans cheered for Stone Zokovitsa and clamored for more. We too love this beer, so of course we caroled Claro KC. Now gifted with a new name, Stone Zokovitsa for the holidays and the new year has joined our eminent lineup of special releases. We're releasing it just in time for that time of the year when the joyous spirit of giving is in the air and good behavior is generously rewarded. Available in limited 12-ounce six-packs and draft, it's a milk stout, 8.1% alcohol, and 50 IBUs, brewed with English Challenger and English East Kent Golding hops. So there you have it. The Mitch Steele is the brewmaster of Stone. He actually has his ratings on here. Appearance, pours black with a thick brown head. Aroma of intense cinnamon, cocoa, and coffee are followed by nutmeg and peppers. As the beer warms up, the flavor combinations evolve and the cocoa and vanilla notes really start to open up. Taste, cocoa and cinnamon are at the forefront. The coffee, nutmeg, and vanilla follow, and the fruitiness and heat of the pasilla peppers come through nicely on the finish. Palate, full-bodied and very smooth with a light bitterness. The sweetness adds a lot to this beer without being too syrupy. Overall, when we first brewed this beer in 2014, I think everyone on the brewing team was blown away by its multiple layers of flavor. The inspiration came from Mexican hot chocolate combined with coffee. We loved how wonderfully this beer showcases the spices, cocoa, and subtle coffee roast flavors. So much that we were excited to bring it back as an annual Stone special release. So the only thing I'd have to say is, my hat's off to that homebrewer that created this.
Multiple layers of flavor, definitely hits it on the head with this one. I'll tell you, the two things I don't get are the cocoa and the vanilla. I've tasted everything else. Cocoa and vanilla, not so much. That's me.
Personally, my experience with vanilla is it can really help to bring out the other flavors and the sweetness and amplify all that good stuff and give a nice creamy mouthfeel.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Pete. You know, when it comes to vanilla in a beer, most times less is more.
Right.
I can remember, I'm not going to name the beer. It was a vanilla porter. And, too much vanilla, you know? It just kind of ruined the whole experience. But this beer in particular and this year's version in particular, I think is a little more. I'm getting a lot more cinnamon than I can remember from the batch last year. Now, good thing about it this year is it is available in 6-packs and it is available in bombers. Last year you could only get a 22-ounce bomber. Boy, I did my fair share on those. But here's the great thing, I think, with the 12-ounce package is it's a great share. It's a nice nightcap beer. It's not something I really feel like I'd want to drink it all night. But if I were having a piece of, like, say, flourless chocolate cake,
this would just be like drink with dessert.
This would be like the equivalent of throwing a scoop of ice cream on that piece of cake. You know?
That's right. I can envision that happening for Christmas dinner this year. No problem. Well, and I do have some stashed away especially for that purpose.
when I lived in Las Vegas, there's a large Latino Mexican population there, and one of the things I discovered
You don't say.
was a drink there called horchata, which is kind of a milky drink with
It's rice milk.
Yes.
rice milk, and it's got lots of cinnamon in it, and that's kind of what this reminds me of. And then you add in the peppers, and Mexico has good chocolate and pepper. It definitely has got all that Mexican, and there's a lot of other beers like Braxis and stuff that have that Mexican. It's a great mix. It's one of my favorite styles of beer. Now this is a little bit more cinnamony, more something that like a holiday. And that's okay because it's made. They even actually have identified it with the holidays now. There are some others that I think are more subtle, cinnamon, more subtle. Maybe more year-round beers. I absolutely am thrilled that this beer is out again. I was away when it was released, and I had kind of a FOMO moment where I thought I was going to be missing out, fear of missing out. But
Well, I think they put out plenty this year.
I went to my local store, and there were still several cases left, so I got my 6-pack of it, and I'm really happy that I got it. It's that time of year to enjoy something like this.
I'm going to track this down and bring this over on Christmas.
But I did know, just like I knew Dugout would be the guy for Huma, Uncle Pete is the guy for this because he's always expressed a great joy of enjoying this beer. So
Yeah, I'm really pleased. I got introduced to it last year by my good friend, Mr. Revels. I'm anxious to put this up on a vertical next to my Robert de Habanero Stout, which I did a milk stout version of this year, homebrew. And I also have peppers, I have chocolate, and I have vanilla. And I did do a version of it with cinnamon. So I'm very looking forward to putting these side by side, and maybe I can learn a little bit from the masters.
You're making my mouth water there, Pete, with those descriptions.
When I tasted the cinnamon version of mine as it went into the bottle for bottling, I thought that my cinnamon was a little strong on the cinnamon versus this one where I get the sugary sweetness with the cinnamon. That may be a learning point for me is how do I capture that sugar-cinnamon mix that I like so much versus just the cinnamon.
great brew.
Zocaveza, is there a meaning to that? Anybody ever heard of that? Or
I
looked
bet
at
our friend Google might be able to tell us.
He knows everything.
Zocaveza?
We could always ask Siri too.
It's almost like loco in la cabeza.
I'm not going to try Siri because
Zocaveza makes me loco in la cabeza.
So this episode is being taped the week after Black Friday. So I know it's the new year for everybody, and this will be well in the rearview mirror. But
Let's talk about a month ago. Yeah.
I'm sure everybody still is always interested to hear anything about the coveted Bourbon County. A little bit of controversy since they are owned by the AB InBev empire. But at the end of the day, you make a good beer, and the consumer is going to respond. And there are some diehards out there that won't patronize AB InBev. I don't think any of us are those people, though, because Bourbon County is that good. And I think some of the other Goose Island beers, frankly, have suffered in quality since the takeover, but certainly Bourbon County, they appear to have allowed the brewers to flourish with additional resources. Because my experience, there were a lot of Bourbon County available this year. They did switch to a different package from 12-ounce bottles and 4-packs to 16.9-ounce singles, which is an imperial pint. I, with very little effort, went to only 4 stores. I was able to pick up a pretty good supply, not really quantity more than, but I did get a bottle or two of the rare, which doesn't seem to be as rare as it once was. But at $60 a bottle, it's a profit maker for the company.
I mean, they got commercials on YouTube now for Bourbon County. My dad sent me a commercial to share with you guys, and I'm like, it's like, oh, thanks, Dad, but I'm sure you guys had seen it. But
I haven't seen it. No, actually, if you can pull it up and play the audio, you can listen to it. But.
And I could tell you too. One thing I've learned about Goose Island is apparently they don't sell anything else but their IPA, because I see it, and all you see when I go into stores, all I see is Goose Island IPA. I want to try other things, and that's all that stores seem to carry.
We did do that in our pale ale session.
Yes.
Well, and it's interesting that they gone away more than one time from their flagships. Their original flagship brand was Honker's Ale. It was an English-style ale. It was quite good. Then they came out with a 312 wheat, and that was a quite a hit for them. And so now what you're seeing is line extensions on that 312 wheat. So you're seeing 312 IPA, or the 312 Pale Ale, I'm sorry. It's just sort of interesting the way they sort of flop around when it comes to their mainstream brands, but yet when they put their brewing knowledge into it and come out with things like Bourbon County and the Barley Wine and Bourbon County Rare and Bourbon County Coffee, and every single one of those just blows you away. I don't know. It just seems like an enigma. They're an enigma to me.
Some people forget what got them to where they are.
You know what? At the end of the day, the quality of the product is going to, it's going to stand or flop on its own, and the quality is still tip top. I mean, I tried many of these beers. I have not tasted the Rare, but I have friends that went to Rare Day and did get to try it because they won a lottery and went. Yeah, I mean, everybody's very impressed. I think the beer is now more readily available than in previous years. I think they have ramped up the production, so they make more. So maybe, like, for instance, the Rare, this year's Rare was, I think, they found some casks of whiskey that were 35 years aged. I haven't tasted it yet, but I've heard very good reviews from personal friends that have tasted it and recommended it to me. So, the downside is maybe, the marketing is different and the sizes are different and it's probably more profitable for the company. But the plus side is with more resources at their disposal, the brewers are able to make larger quantities and get more of this in more people's palates. So take the good with the bad, and I'm happy that I got some.
What are some of the other Black Friday releases, John?
One of the ones that was big here in Michigan was a brewery-only release for Odd Side Ales, had their Hipster Brunch. And there was some controversy because the brewery had a kind of a different way of releasing it. It was a no-limit release. And there are stories about lots of guys leaving the brewery with like 10, 20, 30 cases. But you know what? It's they sold out, I think it was 800 or 8,000 cases. I think 800 cases. 800 cases in one day. By 4 p.m., they were sold out.
They got their beer out. That's what they wanted
and it was
to do,
on
right?
Black Friday. I had actually planned to go, but I found somebody that was going, and since there was no limit, that person said they would pick me up a few cases, so I have some, and
oh man,
I
that
was
sounds
able
like
to share some
motor
with
oil.
Dugout and the Pete, and here we are. So we're going to try Hipster Brunch. Hipster Brunch Stout is by Odd Side Ales in Grand Haven, Michigan, in the western part of the state along Lake Michigan. It is a stout aged in bourbon barrels with coffee, maple syrup, and bacon added.
Oh.
It's Hipster Brunch. This particular bottle was...
Well, everything goes better with bacon, doesn't it?
Bottled on November 18th.
Oh, my God.
So 2 weeks ago, and it was just released last Friday at the brewery 1 week ago.
It is fresh.
Of course, it's 2016 on our broadcast, but
Well, talk about a whale.
and they had actually forecasted. They did a brewery only release last year, and there was still beer like a week or two later available, and they sent some to distribution and distributors, so we were able to get single bottles in the stores around here. But the demand, the beer was so well received last year, and the word got out that they sold everything they had on Black Friday, and now there will be no distribution in stores, which is upsetting a lot of craft beer people that really wanted to get this. So there's a kind of an outcry that, it should have been in the stores and, we got shut out. Well, everybody had the opportunity to drive there. If they couldn't drive there, if they knew somebody that was driving there, and that's just the way it was, is the brewery's taking a little bit of a heat for it. But at the end of the day, they made beer, they sold it all, and next year I'm sure they'll make more beer and they'll probably sell it all again.
And if you don't like that you can't buy beer on the internet, vote, all right?
So, you know what? We're here drinking it. So we did what we had to do to get it. And next year, more people are going to know that they just can't wait for it to come in the store because it's probably not going to hit distribution.
Well, it's definitely brunch in a bottle. I mean, you got your bacon, you got your coffee, and you got your maple syrup.
It's
and your bourbon.
It's very
Who doesn't
high.
like
Oh, yes,
bourbon with
bourbon.
breakfast? Come on now.
It's football season.
Dugout, you want to review this for us?
Sure.
A lot going on.
Yeah, a lot going on in this beer.
Multiple layers of flavor again.
I mean, we can just go to the appearance side of things, and Christopher was pouring this into his glass, and he said it looked like motor oil. And I think that's a really good description, especially motor oil that's maybe come out of a car that needed an oil change. It's very dark, black, and thick. It's got a nice head to it. When you taste, the first taste I get is the bourbon on the first sip. As I continue to sip and taste, I get some really good dark fruits coming out. I get that sweetness from the maple syrup, definitely. The coffee is in there. Although the coffee is subtle, it's not an over-the-top coffee beer. I think we are going to review some more coffee beers in this episode, the next episode. This doesn't strike me as being overly coffee. It is very complex. I think it's a great winter warmer. Definitely great with some holiday cheer, sitting by the fire and sipping this out of a snifter.
Wow.
Definitely a coffee with cream and sugar.
I like the little smokiness of the bacon.
I'm trying to find it.
It's at the end for me. It's after you kind of, it lingers on the tongue, and then when you, about 2 seconds after you're done, you get a little smoky bacon. There's the maple in there. I still get some cinnamon out of it too.
It's alcoholic. I mean, I'm getting a alcoholic flash, right off my tongue. Like if I was to breathe on that tattoo on my arm, I'd probably melt it right off.
Well, it's one that I'm glad that I was able to procure, given the state of how it's now pretty much gone out of distribution. Nowhere to get it unless you know somebody. And I guess I gambled and won because I picked some of this up and I'm one of the few proud. Fortunately, my circle of friends, I share. And even more so, fortunately, that the gentleman that picked it up shared, because he picked up for more than one person and was very generous to make it available to people that were unable to travel that day. So let's do a cheers to our mule friends.
Cheers to the mules.
Cheers to mules.
Cheers to mules.
Well, it's delightful. I love it. I'm going to take Doug's advice, and I think I'll use this as a winter warmer this winter. Enjoy it when there's about 6 to 12 inches of snow on the ground, and I can look at it out the window.
Well, and I know a couple of us have a couple extra bottles of this. There's definitely the other 3 of mine are going into the cellar.
Definitely going to cellar some. I'm sure it'll age very well.
I have one left from last year. I think I got 2 bottles last year. I drank one and I cellared one, so perhaps could be time for a side-by-side and then put a bunch away.
I had a flash of lack of self-restraint last year, and I drank all 3 bottles.
Nothing wrong with that. You know what? I often have, when I go down and see all the beer in my cellar, and beer that should be in my cellar that's in other parts of the house, much to my wife's chagrin, I always have that, what if I get hit by a bus tomorrow? I'll never get to drink that.
I'll help come over and take care of the
this
state.
Is the winter that when it snows, I'm going to hit that cellar hard. The other part of that equation is I think I'm going to take a little, like the month of January, my beer budget is 0. I think it's time to thin the herd. So time to put some money in the bank, thin the herd. I'm sure there will be something will come out.
So a party in January, does your wife know about this yet?
Well, we always have the not Christmas party with our Brewers Guild.
Oh, that's right. That's a great party.
So maybe we will just have to, even though it's for homebrew club, so we should be focusing on homebrew. That doesn't mean I can't bring some of my many treasures.
So you made a clone.
Exactly. So here's the clone and here's the real one.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, never.
Bada bing.
You take an oath of ethics with homebrewing.
Well, that certainly was a treat to have that, but it is very strong, and we are going to have one of the sweetest beers that I've ever had coming up, and Uncle Pete is going to bring us through this because it was his choice. This is a brewery I have visited, but I don't want to steal the show from Uncle Pete, so I'm going to let him introduce this beer. But some people call it diabetes because it is very sweet. Meant to be drank. It comes in a bomber. Without further ado, I will allow Uncle Pete to reveal our final beer of this segment.
Yeah, I'm going to have to talk about it for a moment until I finish this other beer, but we talked about vanilla beans not too long ago, a few minutes ago, and this stout is definitely brewed with vanilla beans and dark caramel malt, lactose sugar, which means when you brew with lactose sugar, that means it's like a milk stout. Lactose is a non-fermentable sugar, and so that's going to lend a lot of sweetness and body mouthfeel to the beer, just from the technical side of things. Uses Columbus and Horizon hops. I think it's going to be creamy, full-bodied. It's going to be like almost like an ice cream treat. It's called creme brulee, and as we all know, the creme brulee with your caramelized sugar on top of your dessert, top of your custard. Very much proper to serve this in a snifter, and in the mid to high 40s, and even let it warm up into the 50s and approaching 60 degrees, you're going to really enjoy how this opens up. So, John, I'll let you talk about the appearance and the aromas and such until I get ready to have a taste myself.
Well, it's coal black. You can't see through it. It's like I said, it's very sweet, but it's not cloying. It's a pleasant. It's actually one of my favorite beers. It's lovely. If there's one criticism on this beer, is it's almost so sweet that it's a shame that it comes in a bomber, because it's too sweet. You'd have to have 2 or 3 people share this with you. It's a perfect dessert after dinner, after the fire, with some kind of a dessert. Creme brulee, is a sweet dish as a dessert, and it doesn't disappoint. It delivers tons of flavor. But to have to drink this bomber bottle of it is it's a daunting task. Even if you were just going to have 2 people try to do it. When I went, I visited this brewery a couple years ago. Little tour of upstate New York. Hit Omegang Brewing and the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. And on the way there, we stopped by Southern Tier, and I was very fortunate to get a tour. Loved the brewery, loved the people there, great atmosphere. They actually brew a lot of hoppy beers, and they're kind of known for that. But this is one of my favorite ones. They brew this and the other one, Mocha. They brew another beer called Mocha that is more chocolatey.
Chocolate.
It's very, very good. I guess that's my only complaint is I wish they would put 12-ounce bottles of this, because even a 12-ounce bottle to share with 2 people would be sufficient. Delicious, great aroma. It smells so good. And it's a lot of people say it could accompany dessert. I think it's a dessert on its own.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree with you there.
Very rich, filling. I would not need food with this. This is a dessert in a glass.
We can float out of this beer. Put a scoop of ice cream in it. Just saying.
Oh, it just smells sweet.
I said it was coal black originally. Now that I'm looking at it, it is slightly, opaque. If you look at an angle through the glass, you can see through it. But if you look completely through the glass, it's black. But it's not coal black like.
So, in my opinion, this is one of these beers that I know I've had it quite a few times, I'm sure, that just ends up becoming a style unto its own. It's so distinct. There's just so few of them out there, but yet it's such a recognizable flavor. And I enjoy that about this brand. I think in a blind taste test, I could pick this out in a second.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I have had anything that tastes like this. This is definitely its own.
And there's times where I'm at the store, or I'm at the little corner store by my house.
Doug, I'll say this and Polar Nights. Put them in the same categories. When you're tasting this beer.
Yeah, you won't forget Polar Nights.
Yes.
But it is. It's one of those it's a creme brulee stout. We know of another creme brulee stout, which is off the charts. And I could put them side by side, and I know I could taste the difference between them. But just the fact that this beer is so distinctive, it's, in my mind, become a category of its own.
Yeah, I can definitely pick up. I can just imagine a chef at tableside with this little torch and caramelizing the sugar that's been poured on top of this little bowl of custard, and making me some creme brulee. And I take a sip of this beer and close my eyes, and I'm thinking, wow, I just had a spoonful of that dessert. Sound good?
That sounds really good. Yep.
And I mean, I don't get really coffee with this, and we do know of another creme brulee that is made with coffee that's fantastic, an imperial stout. It's distinctive. You're right. I'll agree 100%. And I'm with John on the bottle size. I mean, if it came in a 12-ounce bottle, it'd be ideal to share 2 people a 12-ouncer. But a 22-ouncer, you want to have, 4 people and everybody get a good sip. I say cheers to Southern Tier on this one.
Oh, 100%. Yep.
Yes.
And if anybody gets a chance to go to the brewery, it's in upstate New York. It's probably, an hour and a half from Buffalo to the east, and probably, pretty much to the east. It's near Jamestown, New York. Fortunately for me, my wife was happy to find the Lucille Ball Museum, like in the next town over, or within like 5 miles of the brewery. So she dropped me off, and I was able to do the tour, and she got to do a little sightseeing, and I actually ended up going back with her to the Lucille Ball Museum. But I kind of like the Desi Arnaz when they showed all his wardrobes, because he was pretty stylish.
So what you're saying is, when I go to New York and I see the name Southern Tier, I should buy it.
Yeah,
you can find it here very easily.
Yes, I picked this up, no problem, yesterday, right off the shelf. I'd be interested in tasting a barrel-aged version of this. This is the kind that lends itself to, put a little oak char on it and some wood influence and age and see what happens.
That would be awesome.
I don't know if they do.
We just don't get it here.
I don't know if they do one. For instance, the Zocaveza we had, I didn't mention earlier that, they do a barrel-aged version of that, one in bourbon barrels, and also one that's done in tequila barrels.
Oh.
Yeah, imagine that.
We've had some tequila
I
barrel
remember
beer
tequila
on
barrel.
here.
Mexican
Golden
hot
Flame from
That's
White
it.
Flame.
I say,
tequila.
name's a little hazy. We've done a lot of beers at this point.
Yeah, that was Golden Flame from White Flame Brewery.
That was yours. That's right.
Good call, Doug. Well, we are going to start with our beer of the week. The beer of the week is always each beer nut selects one beer that we've had tonight as their favorite.
This week is going to be a tough,
difficult
damn choice.
Not for me.
Well, Chris, do you need more time, or can we start with you?
You make me go first?
If you need
Make
more
the
time,
rookie go first?
Let's go with Uncle Pete because he's already dead set on what he wants.
I am. I'm going to go straight to Zocaveza from Stone. That combination of cocoa and cinnamon and nutmeg and coffee and vanilla and peppers. I mean, what a potpourri of flavor, and I can't wait to just share it with my family and my friends at the Christmas dinner coming up this year. So if you can get this Stone Zocaveza out there in the listening audience, I recommend it. Get out there and get it in your life.
Okay, we have one vote for Stone Zocaveza. Dugout, how about you next?
Boy, everything was just really outstanding. Some more than others, but I think it started when I kicked off the show, when I kicked off the first beer that came to my mind when I heard of a Mixed Nuts podcast, and I got to pick my beer, and the first thing I picked was Humalupalicious, and I'm just going to stick with that.
No surprises so far because we each got to pick things that we liked, but Chris, I'm going to make you go next.
Oh, make me go next, huh? All right, well.
I'm looking at all these.
I'm going with the man. I had to take another sip of that.
Hulalupa, Ryclops, Edmund Fitzgerald, Zocaveza, Hipster Brunch, and Creme Brulee.
Oh, man.
He's agonizing.
Do it. Just do it. Pick it.
I'm going Southern Tier.
Southern Tier, Creme Brulee.
Creme Brulee.
So we have 3 votes, and once again, I come down to be the tiebreaker. But you know what? I had my mind made. And I'll be the one that it wasn't the beer that I brought or that I suggested. Because I was going to go with Hipster Brunch. But Hipster Brunch, as good as it is, I think it needs some more time to age. I think it's, it's a beer that will sell her. And I think it's just too cinnamon right now. I think the cinnamon will... I don't want to say fade, but I think it'll blend in and meld with the rest of the flavors. And I think in 6 months, this is going to blow your socks off. But as they drink right now, I think I would have to vote for Zocaveza. I'm a big fan of Stone Brewing. I love what they've done. And the other thing that gets my vote is that it was a home brewer that was able to, that Stone gave a home brewer an opportunity in their contest, and it was so well received that now it's one of their regular, annual offerings. So for those reasons, I am going to cast the deciding vote for Stone Zocaveza. So our beer of the week is, do we have a drum roll? The first beer of the week for 2016 is Stone Zocaveza. And appropriately, it says right on the bottle, for the holidays and the new year.
Hey.
So congratulations, Stone Brewing. You are our beer of the week, Zocaveza. Now it's time to pick our brewery of the week. But you know what we're going to do this time? Since it's a new year, we're going to pick a brewery of the year for 2015. It has nothing to do with the beers we tasted tonight. I'm going to ask each of you to pick any brewery that stood out to you, whether it was beers we had on the show, beers you had outside the show. It's wide open. Everybody might need a moment to collect their thoughts. So I'm looking at a half-full bottle of Hipster Brunch, and I'm going to take a hit of that while I contemplate what my brewery of the year is for 2015. Does anybody have their mind made up that would like to vote on it?
I do.
I do too.
Okay, Dugout, you chimed in first. So
It's Coonan Brewery out of Warren, Michigan, they're a quirky, fun little place. It's small. They're building a production facility, so right now they're really, really local. But soon to come, you will be able to find Coonan beer. But I'll tell you what, man, any given day you walk into that place, and there are at least 5 to 10 different great beers on draft. They're very innovative. They do wonderful things. They do make phenomenal meads as well. But, they've got some flagship brands. Their Drippa Double Rice IPA is just off the charts. I'm hoping that makes it to bottle. I kind of have a feeling it will.
Here's my question. Do they serve food?
Well, no. And yes. I mean, they
Can
have
I take
some...
the girlfriend there under the guise of a date? Hey, let's go get some lunch.
does she like popcorn?
Well, there's always popcorn, and then they have cheese and crackers that you can buy behind the bar. But this...
she does like both of those things, and
if
beer.
you go in the evening, pretty much every evening they have a food truck that pulls up.
Gotcha.
So, you can get food. Do they serve it? No. Would you want them to serve it? No. Go there and find out. It's just
go there for the
it's a
beer.
quirky place, but yeah, you go there to drink beer. Big long tables, and fills up with. It's right by the GM Tech Center, so lots of people come in there, just all kind of ages and walks of life, and it's really a cool, interesting place.
GM Tech Center is how I lived inside and ate food as a child, so I have to go check it out. I'm familiar with the area.
Okay, well, we have one vote for Coonan Brewery as our 2015 Brewery of the Year. So, Uncle Pete, you may go next.
Yeah, what I fear in this category, John, is it's probably going to be. I bet all four of us have our own choice, right? So it'll be a draw all around. But anyway, I'm going to go with Black Rocks Brewery in Marquette, Michigan. And we talked about this on a prior episode. This is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan on beautiful Lake Superior. And, the UP, the Upper Peninsula, is just a wild, beautiful, forested, native land up there. And they make some beers up there at Black Rocks, the Coconut Brown. They got the 51K IPA. The brewery itself is converted home. It's kind of right in a residential area. It's just got character. You pull up, you're in the North Country when the fence around the property is made out of skis. You go inside this place and you can go upstairs or sit downstairs. It's got a lot of personality. I think Dugout, you've been there. It's fantastic, and I would love to go back there. Every time I go to the UP, if I'm passing through Marquette, that's going to be my stop.
Well, I have to say...
Great choice.
I have to say by both of you guys that I haven't been there, and I'm dying to go now because I've heard such great things. I also got to love any brewery that puts an English barley wine in a can. That Nomus is very good that they produce.
That's right.
51K is a home run. The Black Rock Stout is great. So that's a good choice. But let's move on to Chris.
For me, it's just a brand I've been turned on to by you gentlemen that just, it seems like every beer I've had, they put great care into the ingredients, into making the beer. It's Founders. I'm new to the game, but the brand you guys have exposed me to, you guys recently said they recently acquired bigger distribution. I hope it doesn't go down some of the routes I've heard you said other beers have gone down, because it just, every beer I've had seems it's like they use top-notch ingredients. Seems like they take their time to do it, and it seems to be right now, Founder seems to define to me what craft beer is, or at least they're setting the standards of what to judge by.
Okay, we do have
some great
votes
comments
for three
on that
different
brewery.
breweries. All of them were more than worthy. I'm also a big Founders fan, as you all well know. Backwoods Bastard is my favorite all-time beer. If I was on a desert island with a week to live, I would ask for an unlimited supply of Backwoods Bastard before anything else. But I'm not going to vote for Founders as Brewery of the Year because I have to agree with Dugout. Every time I go to Coonan, it's just like I'm a kid in the candy store. There's a glow about me. I love their beers. I wish I could get my hands on more Fourth Dimension. The 4D is out of this world. It's unfortunately, it's very, very difficult to get any. Winter solstice is coming up, although by the time of this airing, it will be over. So there will be some more made available. I'm very pleased that they have the production facility almost completed, and that by this time next year we might be able to buy Double Rice IPA in stores and some of their other flagships. 4D is phenomenal. Probably my favorite beer, definitely my favorite beer from them. I developed a Keezer for my homebrew. Those of you who don't know, a Keezer is a freezer that you convert into a kegerator, so we call it a Keezer. And when I designed this thing, I devoted one tap to be just for Coonan beers, and specifically for Coonan Creme Brulee Java Stout.
Yummy.
And Uncle Pete and I cheated tonight. We did have one of those because I have a keg of it on tap. I called for 8 weeks in a row until they had some, and as soon as they had it, I ran up and got a keg. It's a phenomenal beer and a phenomenal brewery, and there's releases come and go, and I go to some and I don't go to others, but if I'm in town and there's a Coonan release, you bet I'm going to be there. Yeah, it's not a national brewery, and most of our listeners probably have no access to their beer, but pretty soon that'll improve as the production facility opens and they're able to...
KBrewery.com. I'm on it right now.
So, without any further ado, our Brewery of the Year for 2015...
This gets another drum roll.
Actually, why don't you just play like "Shout at the Devil" or something?
All right.
Anything you can come up with. It doesn't have to be a drum roll. All right. Well, without further ado, you've heard enough. Our 2015 Brewery of the Year is Coonan Brewery from Warren, Michigan.
Cheers, Coonan.
Cheers to Coonan.
Here's hoping.
We got some more 4D, some more Creme Brulee Java Stout, some more Drippa, some more of everything.
Let's say, here's hoping a year from now, more people will know who Coonan is.
They certainly will, and I find it kind of ironic that we started the show out with the references to Cheers and kind of a local place, and where people know each other's names, and Coonan is certainly a kind of place like that.
These guys got a lot of beer.
We're really lucky to be close to them. So before we end this episode, I would like to just say one more category. As we always ask to see, did we have a Whale of the Week this week?
Oh, I think we did. Yeah,
I think we did too. I think that Hipster Brunch probably qualifies for a Whale of the Week. Not just because it's hard to get, because it's really good, and it's not even in its prime yet. It's I think 6 to 12 months of aging. This is going to be a whale, and it already tastes phenomenal. So our Whale of the Week. Any other comments?
I agree.
Yeah, just agreement from me too. I mean, this stuff in about 6 to 8 months is just going to blow your socks off.
So save a bottle from tonight. We'll drink it a year from now. We'll talk about it.
That's right.
We'll have some. So our Whale of the Week is Hipster Brunch Stout from Oddside Ales. So that about wraps it up for this Mixed Nuts version of Beer Nuts. We didn't really have a script tonight. We just kind of going off speaking from the heart, so to speak. Everybody have a good time?
Yeah, we each brought 2 beers and winged it.
That was great.
It's nice not to have to read a beer style or, talk about anything that's cloying or, too bitter or...
Hey, one of the things we like to say here is there's no right or wrong. We just went with everything that we knew was right and kicked around a couple ideas, kicked around a few things, brought in a couple surprises. But, hey, that's what makes this stuff fun.
That's right. Good times.
All right. Well, anybody else have any closing comments for this first edition of Mixed Nuts?
Well, I mean, as always, this is where I jump in. I thank everybody who's downloaded, who has followed us on Twitter, at Beer Nuts Podcast on Twitter. Growing by leaps and bounds every week. Thank you to everybody who has followed, downloaded, listened, told a friend. I mean, you're all in the craft beer community. That's how you work anyway. So make sure we're doing that with the podcast. Hey, go to MichiganBeerGuy.com, click on Win This Glass. Win the glass I drink out of every week. Not the actual glass. It's gross. But, a replica of the glass I drink out of every week. It's the MichiganBeerGuy.com tulip glass. Always tweet at Beer Nuts Podcast with what you're drinking. Maybe you'd like us to hit on something that maybe you have a beer that you think is great and we've been ignoring it and you're going, what the hell, guys? Let's go. Just tweet at Beer Nuts Podcast. Show us what you're drinking, and maybe we'll review it. Other than that, JR, I believe you have the sign-off, sir.
One last thing is, hey, we're from Michigan, and I know we talk about some beers you might not have in your area, but please let us know about what you have. There's a Coonan brewery, similar brewery to Coonan near you. Let's tell us about it. And we won't hesitate. We'll have you on the show if you want to come on. So in lieu of that, thanks for joining us. So as we say in old Mexico City, AMF.
Amigos.
If you enjoy this show and want more people to know about it, head on over to iTunes, leave a comment, and rate it 5 stars. Make sure you like and share us on Facebook, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Just search for Christopher Media. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Most importantly, we would like to take the time to extend an extra special thanks to you. Christopher Media could not exist without your support. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
The sweet aromas of the apple fritter, cinnamon roll, and blueberry muffin are hard to resist. So making it home without reaching in your McDonald's bag is no easy task. But nothing worth doing is easy. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Nope, it's from Geico, 'cause they help save people money.
Well,